Baseball in the Boroughs is presented by Verizon. Verizon is going ultra, so you can too. The Yankees dropped 2 of 3 to the Seattle Mariners, and on Wednesday, Gerrit Cole gave up 3 homers and 6 total runs in the first innings, and that's raised some questions about the Yankees' rotation. I'm joined by New York Post columnist Mike Vaccaro to break down what's going wrong for the pitchers in the Bronx. Mike, I'm gonna ask you straight up, what's wrong with Gerrit Cole yesterday?
Well, I think he was thinking too much. He almost admitted to the fact that he was too much inside his head, kind of putting together a game plan against them. He had great stuff. I mean, he was throwing 98, 99 miles an hour with his fastball. And then he threw sliders to both Eugenio Suarez and also to Gerrit Cole, hitting about $130 and speeding up their bats, and he paid the consequences for it. So I think after that, he kind of just let, it's kind of like the old saying, do, don't think. And I think that Cole is probably going to have to revert back to that, even though he's kind of a thinking man's pitcher and he likes to think of himself as an intelligent pitcher. Sometimes the best is what you got to go with. And when you're throwing 99, throw 99.
Well, Mike, it looks like some of that early Bronx magic is starting to wear off just a wee bit. So what does this team need to do to get back on the right track?
Look, I mean, there's enough winnable games ahead on the schedule where they'll be able to fix themselves. It'll be a question to see that the Astros have a lot of winnable games too, and obviously the key thing is to try and finish ahead of the Astros so you have home field advantage in the ALCS. But look, I mean, the Yankees will eventually get Stanton back. The pitching has to right itself, and Cole hasn't been great this year. He's been great in stretches, very small stretches. But the thing was that the rest of the staff was what was surprising because everybody was pitching so well in April, May, and June. And obviously Severino is hurt now, and Taillon has gone through a rough patch, and Jordan Montgomery is a Cardinal, and Nestor Cortez is going to have an innings limit, attached to him at some point this year to try and keep him available for the playoffs. So these are all things they have to negotiate, and it'll be very interesting to see how Aaron Boone and the Yankee brain trust above him figures out how to get that done.
Well, you mentioned the Astros. They're now 2 games back in the American League. So will this pitching rotation be able to replicate some of that early season success down the stretch and deep into October when it matters most?
Well, look, what you hope is that this isn't all a product of just fatigue. Because if it's fatigue, then there's really no answer to it other than resting people, and you can't afford to rest everybody. And the one guy who has been reliable is Cortez, and he's going to have to get some rest just because of his innings limits. So, if you're the Yankees, you're going to have to, every team goes through this. And look, I mean, we talked a lot all year how about they were on 117, 119 win pace. And, that was fun to talk about. But no team, there's a reason why only one team in history or 2 teams in history have won 116 games. It's hard to do. It's hard to maintain that over 162. And look, I mean, the Yankees could still, finish with 105 wins. I think a lot of people would think, well, what happened to the Yankees? They just have to get themselves figured out between now and October, and I think they can.
Like you mentioned, every team goes through this. There's nothing wrong with a little adversity here and there. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Anytime, Brandon. Good talking to you.
Baseball in the Boroughs is presented by Verizon. Verizon is going ultra, so you can too.